Well, hello and welcome back to another edition of the Hiking Journal. In this episode, I head out into the fabulous desert city of Palm Springs, California, and hike a series of trails along the foothills overlooking the city with tremendous views out across the desert to the snow-capped San Bernardino Mountains to the north and the San Jacinto Mountains to the south. Well, I guess you heard all about that big mess they got themselves up to in the San Bernardino Mountains toward Big Bear. They had records amounts of snowfall dumped on them last few weeks, and they had to declare a state of emergency and call out the National Guard to help dig themselves out. The roads are a mess, the town's out of gas, and the people are trapped inside their homes, unable to get to their vehicles. Even the roofs are covered with snow so deep that it's collapsing the roofs, and the local grocery store roof collapsed, leaving them unable to buy food. Boy, what a mess.
The increasingly desperate situation for thousands of residents trapped in our snowed-in mountain communities, stranded inside of their homes with no road access and running out of supplies. Their predicaments are growing more dire by the hour.
A life and death situation is unfolding in mountain communities like Crestline, while main roads like this one are plowed and accessible. Smaller streets like this one remain under feet of snow. Now the fear is that those who can't get out are in serious danger.
Even the San Bernardino National Forest put in place an emergency forest closure order to prevent all the flatlanders from down below clogging up the roads on their way up to play in the snow. Yikes. We even got a little bit of unusual weather here at my house. A few days ago, we got a pretty good dousing of what the local weatherman says is called grapple. It's kind of like an ice-covered snowflake, sort of like hail, but just a wee bit different. Well, today I'm going to take a drive to the desert and stretch out my legs on the Araby Trail. Or is it the Bern Trail? Or was it the Henderson Trail? Maybe it was the Shannon Trail. Oh, hell, I don't know. Let's just do them all. On all trails, it's called the Araby Burns Trail Loop, and it's about 5 miles of climbing up and around the steep and sometimes rocky foothills above Palm Canyon Highway, with tremendous views out across the Coachella Valley. I'm just as likely to run into a bighorn sheep up there that frequent the area, and I'll also have to keep my eye out for an elusive desert roadrunner. Who knows, maybe I'll even get to run into some friendly hikers along the way. The main reason I wanted to take this hike today was to see the iconic UFO house once owned by legendary entertainer Bob Hope. If you're from an older generation, then I'm sure you know who Bob Hope is. But if you're a little younger, then you might not be familiar with Bob Hope is, or more importantly, what he means to America. Now, Bob Hope was a comedian, a vaudevillian actor, a singer, and a dancer back in the day, with a career that spanned nearly 80 years, and he appeared in more than 70 films. This included a series of musical comedy films with Bing Crosby. They were called the Buddy Pictures, like The Road to Singapore, The Road to Utopia, The Road to Morocco, and The Road to Zanzibar. And when it comes to award shows, well, unlike Jimmy Kimmel, who's doing it for the 3rd time this year, Billy Crystal hosted the Academy Awards 9 times. Well, Bob Hope was so well liked by everybody that he was picked to host the Academy Awards a whopping 19 times, more than any other host. He also appeared in many other stage productions and television roles, and he also wrote 14 books and even sang the song Thanks for the Memory, and of course we've all known to come and love that one. But even though Bob Hope's acting career made him famous, his love for entertaining the American troops serving overseas made him adored and respected by millions of people around the world. Between 1941 and 1991, Bob Hope made 57 tours for the USO, entertaining active-duty U.S. Army personnel and Marine Corps personnel around the world. And in 1997, the United States Congress passed a bill that made Bob Hope an honorary veteran of the U.S. Armed Forces. Wow, how's that for an American icon?
Here I am at Da Nang, better known as Dodge City. Yes, sir, Da Nang is one of my favorite stops, and I mean stop. And their motto is Semper Fidelis. That means, oh, don't worry about it, Doc, just nail it back on. There's some guys that never made it up there. Come on down. I don't think they're on our side, are they? Nice lot you bought.
Now, Bob Hope retired from public life in 1998 and died on July 27, 2003 at the age of 100. Wow, can you believe that? And just to think of it, he lived right up here, just a stone's throw below the trail I'm on today, and he lived in this incredible house shaped like a flying saucer. As a service veteran, I'm humbly honored just to glance down on this magnificent structure and pay my respects to this very special man, Bob Hope. After this last big winter storm, a blizzard the National Weather Service called it, I was looking forward to not only stretching my legs on the trail, but taking a glance at the Bob Hope house, and maybe I'll get a chance to see some wildlife and take in some outstanding views. It's quite the drive from my house here in Temecula, about 80 miles or so, and when I arrived in Palm Springs in the Trailhead off Araby Drive, I was good and ready to start the hike along Palm Canyon Creek Wash, the beginning of my loop today.
In the springtime, the swallows fly to Capistrano, bees head for the flowers, and kids here in Southern California take off for Palm Springs. It seems to be some kind of a primitive instinctual urge.
Palm Springs. Palm Springs.
Come along with us on a Palm Springs weekend.
A weekend of wow!
You're like a butterfly trying its wings. Love young, and you'll discover such fabulous things. Don't be afraid.
All right, well, we're entering pretty much the city of Palm Springs. We're coming up in the old visitor center here on the right, and the Palm Springs aerial tram is up this way to the right, which heads up into Tapachino Canyon. We're not going to be heading that way today. We're going to be heading down into downtown Palm Springs. We're going to be checking out the Araby, Henderson, Shannon, Bern trail loop today. It's going to be a loop of about 6 miles, give or take, depending on how many little side trips I take. We're going to see some interesting things today, and hopefully this will be a good adventure. Temperature-wise, it's 57 degrees here in Palm Springs, but the air is blowing, wind's blowing pretty good clip, and it's chilly. It doesn't seem like 57. I don't know, once I get out of the car and walk around, I made a pit stop back there at the Home Depot just to use the restroom about, 30 minutes ago down in Banning, and boy, it was cold there. So anyway, I should be heading into downtown Palm Springs here any second. Well, we made it to downtown Palm Springs, and I can see San Jacinto right in front of us, and there's quite a bit of snow up there. This is the main part of downtown. This is where all the activity happens. Spring break, all the college kids come out here, and this place is pumping. There's a lot of rich people that live out here, a lot of older folks that tend to come out here to Palm Springs and enjoy the sun, especially in the winter. You got the snowbirds that come down from the colder, like Minnesota, New York, and Chicago, and Boston, and either they go to Florida or they come down here. And anyway, this is a very popular place. We've been here many times. It's not too far. It's only about an hour and a half from the house, so we'll take a cruise down Palm Canyon Drive. Of course, it's still fairly early in the morning. It's only 8:30 in the morning, so there's not a whole lot of activity. But you get back here on a weekend or even a Friday in the afternoon, this place is pumping with kids and adults and families, and a lot of great restaurants down here in Palm Springs. A lot of history into this area as well. There's a lot of old homes set back in the hills that are worth a lot of money. Big, huge, sprawling mansions worth $10-20 million. And it's kind of an interesting place to visit if you're out this way, especially during the springtime. Summertime's too hot. It's 112, 115. It's too much. But springtime, that's the time to come to Palm Springs. Well, good morning and welcome back to another edition of the Journal. Today, I'm at the Araby Trailhead out here in Palm Springs. And the trail actually starts up this private road. Just to the left here, there's a little offshoot that goes down to the left and goes alongside of this trailer park. That's where I'm going to be coming back today. But I'm going to be starting this direction, which is heading up toward the snow-covered mountains in San Jacinto. And I'm going to be heading basically down the wash for about 1.5 miles on a trail which I think is called the Henderson Trail. Then I'm going to work my way up to the Shannon Trail, then eventually to the top of Cahuilla Peak. And then from there, I'm going to work my way around the backside of the mountain range here on the Bern's Trail. And that's going to connect up with the Araby Trail, which is going to loop back around and spit me out right here, down here in Palm Springs, right off Palm Canyon Highway. So some of the things I'm going to be interested in seeing today is a phenomenal view overlooking the snow-capped mountains in San Gorgonio and San Jacinto, which is right behind me, as well as getting a bird's eye view of Bob Hope's house from below and above. So anyway, that's all going to be coming up next in this edition of the Journal. In Palm Springs, California, the Araby Burns Loop Trail, starting right now. Well, I guess the trail starts down here somewhere in the wash. So there is no official trail sign that I have seen, but in checking the All Trails track, it looks like it's dead center on the side of this wash. Got to parallel the road. The road is posted no trespassing, but doesn't include the wash. So I'm going to continue up probably for about a mile, it looks like. I'm going to work my way to the left up to the top of Cahuilla Peak. All right, well, now you can see my my little trail that people have made probably over the years down in the wash. I do have my All Trails app on that I'm running just to make sure I don't get too far astray. I don't want to end up too far to the right in the wash. I'm trying to stay as close to the left as I can, but it's always difficult walking in a sandy wash. Well, you know, as I'm walking down this, I guess it's a trail in the wash here. I've got a tremendous view up ahead looking towards San Jacinto. And also to the far right across the wash is a view of San Gorgonio, and I'm sure we'll get a better view of that as we get a little further up the trail. In the meantime, I got to continue down this wash, it looks, and try to find the actual side chute to the left that actually begins the official trail up to the top. Oh, in fact, here it is right here. Henderson Trail. There's the sign, Santa Rosa and San Jacinto Mountains National Monument, the Henderson Trail. So I guess they don't want you going that way, so. And here's another sign for the Henderson Trails. It works its way up the canyon. All right, I'm crossing the road for the second time and officially starting on the Henderson Trail. Very unique looking house over here to the right. You'll see what this looks like. And quite a few homes nestled in the canyon here as I'm working my way up. All right, well, I can see a sign up ahead. It looks like it says the Earl Henderson Trail. And this is the official, I guess, signage for the trail. Don't know if we'll see any more. I did see a cottontail hopping through the bushes here a few minutes ago. Probably got some pretty good views from here, I imagine. I would think from here you could see all of San Jacinto range and even out toward the windmills out in Palm Springs and the Coachella Valley. It's going to be a lot warmer today than I thought. You know, I just passed a really nice lady on the trail a minute ago, and she was telling me about these houses right here, these foundations of homes that are left. And she was telling me that the locals call them the Hobbit houses, and that there's, I think she said 5 or 6 of them here on the property. And believe it or not, even though they're just ruins, there's really nothing to them. She said that they're going for $1 million a piece. And the one house that's on the far right up the hill is the only one that's actually a complete home. Is an Airbnb, and that one he rents out. But the other lots, he's selling for $1 million a piece. Can you imagine that? She also said the Lichen Trail, which is across the way, she's seen bighorn sheep there every single time she's been there, herds of them up at the picnic table. So something to keep in mind for a future hike. Well, as I'm working my way up the Henderson Trail, I've noticed, I've seen a couple of barrel cactus. It's pretty cool. I'm sure we'll see more. But I've also noticed there's a lot of rock outcroppings with nooks and crannies, and some spots with shade and some that are more out in the sun. And because it's so warm today, I think the odds of running into a rattlesnake or a snake of some type would probably be pretty good today, I would think. And it's just so you can see behind me where I'm heading. Up there somewhere. And behind me, what a tremendous view, huh? And there's a really nice house down there. Looks like he has several structures. He's got a great location and a tennis court down below. I've been working my way up the trail about maybe 30 minutes. Stopped several times to take some pictures of barrel cactus and dove, and now it looks like I've reached the end of the Henderson trail and I've come up to the Shannon trail. It says this trail maintained for your riding and hiking pleasure in memory of Earl Henderson, known as Lucky. What a view behind us, huh? Gorgeous golf course views. That's the trail I'm going to be heading up right there as I transition from the Henderson trail to the Shannon trail. It looks like I begin quite the climb. This trail does have about 1,500 feet of elevation gain and then some. I'm sure I'll be feeling that here pretty soon. Well, it also looks like I've run across a U.S. Department of the Interior Bureau of Land Management Trail Survey pipe cap. That's what that's called, pipe cap. It's also got a little tag there, a little spot where you can tell that they were intending to put this. Don't know why they chose this location. Oh, maybe it's for the view. Well, down below me there you can see that house, and then to the right of it at the bend of the road is the Henderson Trail. So it works its way up above those ruins of what used to be houses, I guess. And you can see as it goes into the wash, you follow the wash as a connector all the way down to your right. And boy, we got tremendous views here. So we got some pretty good barrel cactus coming up. But magnificent scenery here today. And there's another beautiful barrel cactus. And in Palm Springs, even the smaller, older, cheaper homes, everybody's got a pool here. And we come to this canyon, and besides a jet flying into Palm Springs Airport, there's our first good view of the Bob Hope house. As I'm looking up towards San Jacinto, this trio of hikers working their way up the Shannon Trail, way up in the distance. Well, remember I did mention this trail does have 1,500 plus feet of gain. And it looks like I'm doing it all right now. This part is pretty rocky and pretty steep. But hopefully, thankfully, this will be short as we get to a switch back here. And more tremendous views. I tell you what, this Shannon Trail definitely has some ups and downs. We got tremendous views all along the San Jacinto Range. It's just absolutely stunning. I'm glad it's a little cooler today because I think this would be a very hot hike any other time probably after April. But wow, what a tremendous view. All right, well, I'm only about 100 feet from the top of Cahuilla Peak. I believe that's what that is. But what I wanted to show you was not only the little bit of trail I have left to get to Cahuilla Peak, but the tremendous view I have looking to the south, and I guess it'd be west, of the San Jacinto Range. Gorgeous up here. If I keep spinning to the right, you'll see, not only will you see Palm Springs, but you'll see San Jacinto and San Gorgonio off in the distance. If I continue to go to the right, off that way on the other side of the city is Joshua Tree. Great view from this spot. All along the Shannon Trail in Palm Springs. Well, it looks like we've come to the end of the Shannon Trail and the split. Looks like the Garston Trail goes to the right, works its way to another unnamed peak off to my right. And we're going to be working our way up to the left on the Burns Trail. Like here's the sign for the Burns Trail. Charlie 21 Burns, 1901 to 1971. It was dedicated about a year later, it looks like. There's my tremendous views. Looking to the north and west. We're going to be going up right up there to the top of Cahuilla Peak. Well, I'm almost to the top of Cahuilla Peak. You can see right here in front of me. And boy, what a tremendous view. I mean, I said it 100 times already, but just can't imagine what it looks like from up here. You got this giant rock cairn and a 360 view like you can't imagine. And from this angle, I don't know if I can see Bob Hope's house. He's on the other side of the hill here, but we'll get a good view of the back side of the Bob Hope house when we get a little further down the trail. We have to go down a ways and work our way back up, and then eventually work our way across on the Araby trail. But in the meantime, I might stop here and take a break. Who knows, I'll have some coffee. I could definitely use the hydration right now. Believe it or not, there's not that much wind. So maybe I'll take a break here. This is a great spot. Send out a in-reach message to my wife, let her know I'm at the top of Cahuilla Peak. And I probably have full cell signal here. I'm just trying to save the battery. But anyway, it's been a good hike so far. I'm halfway through, well, roughly. And I think most of the hard part is done, which is nice. And I couldn't pick a better day. It's gorgeous up here. When I reached the summit of Cahuilla Peak, the views were amazing to say the least. Snow-capped San Gorgonio Mountain across the valley, out past a sea of windmills nestled below, and the rugged snow-covered San Jacinto Range behind me. I had just climbed most of the 1,500 feet of elevation gain for this hike in the last couple miles, so I was good and ready to take a break. I had packed a little lighter today than usual, being that it was a highly populated area and that I was within cell phone range the whole duration of the hike. I stuffed my vintage waxed canvas Finnish gas mask bag from the early 1970s with a water bottle, cook set, some snacks, and my 10 essentials that go with me on all my hikes. When I set it down to get out my water bottle, I noticed a tear starting on the back side near the shoulder strap. I have to keep an eye out on this one. No big deal, really. I could easily repair it when I got home with a speedy stitcher. I had brought some instant coffee and the means to heat the water with me, so it sure sounded good today. I set up my Trangia stove inside the bottle stove, poured in some denatured alcohol into the Trangia and lit it. While I waited for the water to heat up, a middle-aged couple approached the summit of Cahuilla Peak. Mark and Joanne were snowbirds from Toronto. Those are the people that live in the Northeast and come out to Southern California for vacation to escape the harshest winter months on the East Coast. They were some of the nicest people you'd ever want to meet. We talked about the Bob Hope house, the outstanding views, and some bighorn sheep who had begun to graze on a grass-covered meadow in the saddle below us. They also told me about the Elrod house next door to the Hope house. Now, I hadn't heard of this one before. Turns out Mark told me the Elrod house was used in the filming of a James Bond movie from the 1970s, Diamonds Are Forever. Joanne said, "It's the one with the two-tone roof and pointed down slope." Wow, I bet they got an amazing view from down there. When the house was built, The soil was excavated, but the rocks were left in place. These rocks are part of the interior of the house and run straight through the walls and the windows. You can clearly see them in this clip from James Bond's Diamonds Are Forever. In this scene, James Bond, played brilliantly by Sean Connery, gets his ass handed to him by Bambi and Thumper.
Well, hi there. I'm Bambi.
Good morning, Bambi.
And I'm Thumper. Is there something we can do for you?
I can think of several things offhand, but at the moment I'm looking for Willard White.
Oh, Willie. Why, he's right out there.
And that's all there is to it.
Not quite. First, we're gonna have a ball. All yours, Bambi.
It was nice meeting Mark and Joanne, and I sure hope they enjoyed their vacation here in Southern California, especially getting the chance to take in some special hikes out in the Coachella Desert. Well, I'm taking a break here along the, I guess this is the Burns Trail. I'm actually up on top of Cahuilla Peak right here. I got a tremendous view of all Palm Springs. Took a few minutes to brew up a cup of coffee and get a little bit of energy for the hike down back to the car along the Burns and the Araby Trail. The Burns Trail is going to drop in elevation, then climb again back up to the top of the next knoll here, the next hilltop, and then I'm going to eventually work my way down switchbacks back around to the Jeep parked near Palm Canyon Highway. But it's been a great hike so far. Met some great people. I just ran into Mark and Joanne from Toronto, who were telling me about a house that's over here, right across from the Bob Hope house. And it was actually used in a James Bond movie, Diamonds Are Forever, which Mark said he thought it might have been Roger Moore's first James Bond movie. So to look that up when we get home. Maybe we'll get some good pictures on the way down the trail as well. In the meantime, I'm going to enjoy my coffee and get caught up on some hydration and maybe have a snack. And then work my way down across the Burns Trail to the Araby Trail and back down. And then maybe I'll get a better look at these bighorn sheep that are grazing on the side of the hill over here. Well, anyway, I'll check back with you in a few minutes. Well, I don't know if you can make that out or not, but there are 4 pretty large male bighorn sheep, the rams. They're down there feeding on the hillside. And off to your right, they ducked behind a hill, it looks like. There were 4 or 5 more bighorn sheep, but they were the females, and one of them had a calf. So you got the bachelor group here in front of us, and the bachelorette group, the mom group, over off to the right. And as we work our way over down the trail to the right, we should be able to see them a little better. Well, I'm working my way down the Burns Trail. You can see what I got to do. I got to do switchbacks down and then up and over that peak right there. But what I wanted to show you was this. Today I'm using a Finnish gas mask bag. It's surplus from the 1960s or late 60s, early 70s. But what I wanted to show you was a little bit of a disaster today. It's ripping. The entire side of my bag is busted open all the way across, and it's going to continue to rip. So I guess I have to carry this thing like a football. So it's going to be an interesting hike out I'm about halfway. I got a long way to go still. Not a big deal. It doesn't weigh that much. The biggest weight that was in here was the water bottle, and I drank about half of it already, so not the end of the world. Thank God it's not a big pack, huh? Anyway, got to go down the switchbacks and up. Well, I'm not too far from the top now with the switchbacks. Hopefully at the top y'all run into the Araby Trail. In the meantime, I'm like O.J. Simpson, the trophy, Heisman Trophy carrying my football, my bag, but you can see what a tremendous view. And a good view of the switchbacks. Can't beat that. Well, that is the backside of the Bob Hope house right there. We're going to be getting actually really close to it as our trail works its way down to the right, down slope. But this has got a good aerial view from this angle. There's a few hikers heading up the trail, but what a gorgeous day today. Perfect day to come up here. Well, that's the Bob Hope house right there. That's the actual backside of the house. They got tennis courts. There's a real nice lawn. Looks like it's a putting green. They also call it the Flying Saucer House. And also the house behind it, up on the hill with the two-tone roof. That is the one that was used in the James Bond movie, according to Mark and Joanne. So I have to look that up when we get home. All right, well, I'm working my way down the Araby Trail, and I'm literally in Bob Hope's backyard. That's the Bob Hope house right there. The roof and the side yard. Of course, all we have a view of is the water tank. Well, it's about as good a view as I'm going to get of the Bob Hope house. As the trail continues to work its way downhill, so I'll get kind of less and less of a view, but still have a tremendous view of all of Palm Springs and the airport over there. A lot of airport noise up here. Anyway, I hope you enjoy this view of the Bob Hope house here in Palm Springs. All right, well, so I'm working my way down here along the Araby Trail. I got a little lower view of the Bob Hope house over here. The trail meanders down. Looks like I got 4 switchbacks to go to get down there. Great view of the house though. Just a little bummer that it's down here in the valley and not a little further up, so I could see somebody in the backyard maybe. I'll tell you what, it feels good to be in the shade, that's for sure. And it's a little warmer than I thought it would be today. I think daytime high was like 71 or something. I don't know, it just seemed like it was hotter than that, maybe because we didn't have a breeze. But I'm going to spit out onto the road here any minute as I'm right beside the trailer park. Trailer court, is that what they called them back in the day? Well, it looks like I've reached the end of the Araby Trail. I'm heading down toward the Jeep, which is parked right there. Looking forward to a ice cold beverage. All right, well, looks like I made it down the trail, down the Araby Trail. It's pretty steep in spots. I was kind of surprised, and it was hot too, being you were kind of in direct sun the whole way. But it's been a good hike. It's met a bunch of really nice people, and it's been about 6 miles round trip, I guess you'd say. I started up in the Wash, went down to the Henderson Trail, went up the Henderson Trail to the Shannon Trail, took that up to the top of Cahuilla Peak, then caught the Bern Trail heading across down a steep slope and then back up to the top of the peak above the Araby Trail. Worked my way down the Araby Trail past the Bob Hope house, and I spit out right here at the top of this road, Rim Road, and exited by the trailer park. So that's going to complete this loop in this adventure on another edition of the Hiking Journal. This is the Araby Burns Loop to see the Bob Hope house in Palm Springs, California. Anyway, take care, and I'll see you down the trail. Bye-bye. The drive out along Palm Canyon Boulevard was even more scenic later in the afternoon. Fancy cars and convertibles with the tops down cruised along the boulevard as tourists and locals alike enjoyed the warm sun and the fresh air. When I made a turn and headed back toward the interstate, I drove right through a short-lived sandstorm with whirling windmills and blowing sand that pitted the sides of the Jeep.
Well, I'm trying to get to the 15 freeway, but the wind is hellacious right here in the desert, and it's blowing sand all across the road, and everybody was slowing down. And all the windmills are right here, so go figure. That's a perfect spot for them. So I'm right here at the freeway on-ramp here. I'm going to be going over the freeway and making a right and circling around and heading northbound. I guess it's northbound, or maybe it's westbound on Interstate 10, and I'll be getting off at Highway 79, which is the route that I take to go back to my house. So anyway, I can see the freeway right here. Boy, the wind is strong here. No wonder they have windmills, huh?
The drive home was long and arduous, driving into a strong headwind that I'm sure affected my gas mileage. When I arrived home, it was just in time for dinner, and I had a little spare time to play with the dogs who had missed me today. Well, that'll do it for another edition of the Hiking Journal, my adventure in Palm Springs, California, and my loop hike of the Araby, Bern, Shannon, and Henderson trails. Along the way, I got in some great mountain views, took a peek at the famous Flying Saucer House once owned by a legendary entertainer Bob Hope, and got to see the 007 house that was originally built by Mr. Elrod. If you have any questions or comments about this or any other edition of the Hiking Journal, drop me a comment below. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button and tap that notification bell to get the latest updates to the channel as I post them. Once again, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you down the trail. Bye-bye. Oh, and one last thing. I got lucky and snagged a campsite just outside Yosemite Valley in Wawona for the end of May. I look forward to getting out and doing some iconic Yosemite Valley hikes that we've never done before, like maybe the 4-mile trail to Glacier Point, the Yosemite Falls Trail, or maybe Aloette Falls, or maybe even the trail to the top of El Capitan itself. Anyway, I'll keep you posted in future editions of the journal. Alrighty, take care. Bye-bye.